Okay, we're live.
We're live.
Hello, 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 hello.
Hello. How are you,
everyone?
Yay.
Happy Saturday! Yay!
Yay!
Welcome to another episode, if you want to call it that. Another event, Life, Vision, Purpose, Author Spotlight Live Event. I am Dr. Debra Wright Owens, and today I am going to be interviewing Miss Beverly Vann-Woods, author Beverly Vann-Woods. Say hi, Miss Beverly.
Hello, everybody. We're live. Yay!
Yes, we are live. Miss Beverly, along with myself and 3 other dynamic visionaries or authors to the recently published book, Life, Vision, Purpose. As I said, today I am going to be interviewing Miss Beverly. For those of you who are tuning in, if you can do me a favor and share this video with on your timeline. That way we can get lots of viewers in to listen in on this discussion. And this is a discussion that you do not want to miss. So I'm going to go ahead and share the video right now myself. So if you do me a favor and do the same, we would most greatly appreciate it.
And I'm sharing as well, Dr. Debra.
And Miss Beverly is sharing as well. I hope everyone is having a great Saturday so far. It's a really pretty day today.
It's very nice.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. There seems to be a breeze outside, but this is September, so fall is right around the corner. Yeah, I think fall starts September 22nd, I believe it is. 22nd and 23rd, somewhere along there. So I think we're going to have definitely an early winter, because I've already noticed the temperature change. I've seen a breeze. I guess more than in previous years around this time. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I hope. Okay. For those of you who are viewing, those of you who just tuned in, today I am interviewing author Beverly Vann-Woods. I am so excited about this interview, and I am most grateful that Miss Beverly is joining us today and is allowing me to interview her. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the interview for the sake of time. As I said, Miss Beverly and myself, along with 3 other dynamic authors, recently authored our book titled Life, Vision, Purpose. Some of you, some of you may have already purchased a copy of the book, and we appreciate you. For those of you who haven't purchased a copy of the book, you can do so today. It's not too late. Just head on over to Amazon.com. You can search the book by its title, Life, Vision, Purpose, or you can search the book by either of the author's name and place your order today. All proceeds from book sales go to the Visionary Foundation for funding scholarships and grants for those in our underserved population. So we would appreciate your purchase, because the proceeds from the sales we give back to the community. Miss Beverly.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good, a little antsy, but good, you know, little antsy. Those natural nerves, but I'm excited, actually. I'm excited about the opportunity for us to continue to share our book and to continue to share our stories, because, you know, we all had different stories. And so I'm just honored and kind of excited to share mine today. Parts of it.
Parts of it, right, parts of it. Okay, Miss Beverly, well, we're gonna dive right in.
Mm-hmm.
So, Miss Beverly, you tell us that you are a native Tennessean.
Yes.
Correct?
Jackson,
Yes,
Tennessee. And where is Jackson,
okay, Jackson.
right?
Right,
Jackson.
right. Where is
So
Jackson,
this is
Tennessee?
easy. This is how you do it, right? So there's Nashville, there's Jackson, and then there's Memphis. So Jackson's right in the middle, because everybody's heard of Nashville and everybody's heard of Memphis. So Jackson's right in the middle.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe it.
Okay, so Jackson's in the middle of Nashville and Memphis.
Yeah, West Tennessee.
West Tennessee.
Right.
Okay. Now I know where Memphis is, of course, and of course I know where Nashville is.
So about
Memphis
90 miles east, I would assume, of Memphis and west of Nashville, right? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because Memphis is not that far from my hometown, Mississippi.
Right. It's really close to Mississippi, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So those casinos. That's how I know.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. So Jackson, Tennessee. Okay, but you've been here in Atlanta for 33 years.
It's probably more than that now. It's maybe 34 now. Maybe this is the 34th year, or at least. Yeah. Okay. So I guess I don't know if I can still say I'm from Jackson. No, but yeah, that's what people say. But yeah, I've been here quite some time now.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Technically, you are now considered what they would call a Georgia peach, because you've been here.
I guess so.
Yes. So in the book, Beverly, you talk about, and just to go ahead and get into, the interview, you talk about growing up, in Tennessee, and then you also start out talking about being raised, the experience of being raised by a single parent. So share with us what that experience was like. Your memory.
So I was raised by a single parent. Right. I was raised by a single parent, technically, but in reality, we have such an extended family. So I'm actually blessed that not only I had my mother was alive, my grandmother was alive, my great grandmother was alive. She was actually 70 when I was born. So all those ladies, right, had a hand in raising me. So I'm lucky to be able to have that many generations. And so for me, having all of that, there was all those different generations of love and wisdom and pouring into me. So that's kind of what it was like for me. I spent time with all of them growing up. So, but I did, I do talking about in the book, and I'm sure you're going to ask me about it, the absence of a father, right? So yeah, my biological father was not there. And I did have surrogate fathers, and then I had later in life a wonderful stepfather. Excellent. His name is Willie B. Sykes, and he was, I couldn't ask for a better person. He was the one that took me to the debutante ball, escorted me down for the father role and that kind of thing. But in my earlier years, right, my biological father was not present. I didn't know who he was. I did not have a relationship with him.
Okay. And I can I understand that, and I can identify with it as well. As I'll go back to what you said about although you were raised by a single parent, you really were not in a, you know what I'm saying? You really weren't. And I totally understand that, because I back in our time, not that we're ancient, like that. But family, it was the family that helped raise the children.
Right, exactly.
From today, where you might have a single parent that is away from family in a geographical location with no family and no real close friends per se, because the times are such now that you may live in the same complex or right next door to people, but no one really knows you.
Right.
You know, everybody is basically to themselves.
Right.
Whereas, you know, where I grew up in Mississippi, and I'm sure the same for you in Tennessee, you know, the neighborhood, the people in the neighborhood knew each other, and they looked out for each other. You helped raise each other's children, such and so forth, and then family as well. And I can totally identify with the father being absent, because my biological father was not present in my life either. Yeah, my biological father was not present in my life, and I grew up around aunts, 6 aunts and 2 uncles.
6. Yeah.
6 aunts and 2 uncles. I spent a lot of time at my grandfather's house, and my aunts, most of my aunts were still home when I was really young, and my uncles were as well. So I grew up with them.
Right.
You know, so even though my biological father was absent, I still had the, you know, male figures in my life. My granddad, the epitome of a father figure, you know, in my life. So I totally get that. I totally get that. So we want to clarify that, you know.
Right, because, you know, because, you know, even though I don't know if, like you said, it's so much today, but growing up, extended family was everything. And, you know, that was just the norm to have an extended family. And, you know, everybody played a part in in raising you. And, you know, whether it was the auntie down the street, the cousin around, you know, or Miss Janie, you know, who lived 2 houses down. You're right. They knew you, right? And they knew how to call your mom and your dad, your mom or your grandma. So yeah, so I don't, you know, that part, as far as life, things about life and learning about life, I got a lot of valuable lessons. But, you know, it's just, you know, I'll be honest and be clear that even with that and with the great people and with the other great role models, I myself, like many other women, who don't have that relationship, you end up with some form of daddy issues, right? You can be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and you still have something because you didn't have that relationship that resides, you know, in you and causes you to think a certain way or make certain decisions. So as a matter of fact, since you got me on this book thing, I think the next book I'll write about will be about daddy issues, actually. At whatever age. Yeah, because you, like I said, you know, people say, how can you be 50 years old or 60 years old and still have daddy issues? You actually can. And so I'm going to talk about, I'll let you interview me next time on that one. I don't know how long it's going to take to write it. But
yeah, okay. And that's a good topic to write about, because there are many, many, many people, you know, with daddy issues.
Right.
You know? Right. So I think that's a great topic that definitely needs to be written about. And yeah, you need to start writing that book.
No slight to the stepfathers now, because they do good. But it's still something about that, because, you know, your first boyfriend or your first male person that you look to is usually your father. It's like for boys, it's their mom. Right. So I think it was designed that way. So yeah, no slight on the step parents, but, you know, there is something to be said. I think about that natural missing person if they're not there, and the effects that it could have on you.
And it does, whether you know, people realize it or not. It does have an effect on you when your biological father is absent, and that's absent by choice. Right. You know, it affects you. You know, sometimes I think, okay, we say, well, we grew up and we're fine. And yeah, that's true. You are fine, but you still miss that piece. Yes. You miss that foundation. You miss that, you know, in your life. And it does make a difference. It makes a difference. But I can identify with you in that regard, because I too grew up without my biological father. Yeah. And also, you talk in the book about meeting your biological father, reaching out to him. I believe you were at the age of 50. You were, is that correct? Okay, now, explain to me, was that your first time reaching out to him, or
Well, see,
how did all that come
I
about?
actually, I actually had, I think he reached out, I think around 18. I almost had an encounter with him. He was, and I'm told he was looking for me. And when I found that he was looking for me, I actually went the other direction, because at 18, I've already built up all this animosity and this whatever for him. And then, you know, like, what do you want to say to me at 18?
Right.
And another real quick story that's not in the book that I'll share right now. I didn't put it in the book, but when I went to college, I met this group of friends, and it was one guy. He was a football player. He was there. I won't call his name because I didn't tell him I was going to talk about it. But I met this guy. I was talking to him. He was from the same town my biological father is from, and he actually knew me. And he said, "I know you, and I know your father." And I was like, "You're lying. You're kidding. You don't know me." And he told me who my biological father was, and he said that he had a daughter up here at the school, which it blew my mind because I never had a relationship with this man, right? So I talk about in the book that at some point in my life, I had to get to the point where I have to think about, well, maybe he didn't have the tools. You know, sometimes we expect stuff from people and they just don't have it to give, right? And so I had to think about, maybe he didn't have the tools, maybe he didn't know how, but the fact that this guy that I have no clue, that just at the universe, I just met one day, that actually told me about this guy that's my biological father, that told me he knows him, and told me that he told him that I'm going to be at that school, you know, my daughter is at that school and maybe you'll meet her. I mean, it's strange the way life, you know, turns out, but so maybe he just wasn't really equipped, or I don't know what. I know, you know, later on in life, I believe he was an alcoholic, and he has since passed, and I don't know if the alcohol actually led to, you know, what physically made him pass, but I know he was an alcoholic. And what you talk about, when I was 50, reaching out to him because I had children, you know, and I wanted my children to know, even because my stepfather had passed then too, and at that time he was still alive, the biological father. So the daddy issue little girl inside the 50-year-old woman said, "Okay, let's reach out to him." And so I called him, and he was like, "Who is this?" And he thought I was playing a joke on him, to be honest with you, because I'd never reached out to him ever. And so I think he was inebriated when I called him. And so I didn't try to explain to him, no, this is not a joke. No, this is really me calling. I just felt like, you know, just here's some more disappointment. I'm not going to continue to put myself out there. I felt like I tried to make the effort. And so then I was just at peace with it. Because again, like I said, you know, sometimes we expect stuff from people that they're just not capable of giving. And I just kind of, you know, said, okay, maybe that's the case. Because I don't know his background. And you know, I don't know. So
Right. And I totally agree with what you're saying regarding sometimes people just don't know, and we are expecting something that they can't give us because they don't know how to give that. And I've had the very same thought myself, you know, with my own biological father. And that's why I would never hold it against him, you know, for his absence, because I reached that resolve myself some years back, that people can't give you what they don't have.
What they don't have, right? Yeah, it takes a while to get there, right? It takes a while to get there.
It takes a while to get there. Yeah. And I would say, I guess when I was growing up, when I was younger, I guess I really never thought about the absence of my father when I was younger. I just, in a sense, existed because I was young. You know, you do what you do when you're young.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
You go, you play and all of that. And like you did, I had family, close family, you know, and it's just close-knit family.
Right.
And neighborhood friends or neighborhood family. You know, I'm from a small town where everybody is probably family.
Right.
You know, if you start digging deep into it. So I never really even thought about the absence, you know, of my father.
Right.
And it wasn't until I was in my teens, I think 15, when I first spent some time one-on-one with my father. And it was awkward because I didn't know him. I didn't have a foundation. So it's like meeting someone you don't know.
Right. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
okay, I know you're my father, but I don't know you. But I never had any ill feelings towards him, because that just didn't cross my mind either. But anyway, I was about 15 when I met my biological father. And from that point is when we started to develop and build, a relationship. So now at this age, I have a good relationship with him.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yeah.
It worked out.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, he probably calls me more than I call him.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, he calls me more than I call him. And not that, I intentionally don't call him as frequently as he calls me, but I'm living life.
Right.
So a lot of times, it's not that I'm not thinking about him. I'm just living life, doing the everyday life thing. And he'll call it and say, well, something's wrong with your fingers. He'll ask me something
right.
Like, what does that mean? So, well, you ain't dialed my number lately. Stuff like that. So I can identify with you. So, but I do want to ask you this. I know you said that your father made an attempt to contact you when you were 18.
Right.
So are you saying that?
So I do. I what now?
When did you first have a one-on-one with your father?
I was a little girl. I remember meeting him when I was like 2 or 3. I actually have that memory. It's amazing. Yeah, I remember having an encounter with him. There's glimpses, little things. So I don't remember an encounter with him when I was 2 or 3 years old. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you did have that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that's good. We want to just take a second to acknowledge those who are viewing in. We thank you so much for tuning in to the Life Vision Purpose Author Spotlight live event that is taking place right now. I'm Dr. Debra Owens, and I am interviewing author Beverly Woods. Beverly, along with myself and 3 other dynamic ladies, are the authors of the recently published book titled Life, Vision, and Purpose. Those of you who are viewing, if you can do us a favor and just go down and hit the share button and share this live broadcast on your timeline, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't already purchased a copy of the book, please do so today. You can head on over to Amazon.com and search the book by its title, Life, Vision, Purpose, and place that order today. All proceeds from book sales go to the Visionary Foundation for funding scholarships and grants for those who are less fortunate in the underserved population in our communities. So let's get back to the interview with Miss Beverly. Now, Miss Beverly, you talk in the book, you talk about leaving Tennessee and coming to Atlanta. So why Atlanta?
So I actually had some friends down here, right? Atlanta was the place to be, you know that. So when I graduated from college, I actually did a quick internship at TV station in Nashville, right? And then I was on the radio because I used to be in communications. And then so but it was back at home. Everybody wants to leave home though, right? So so I had some friends that lived here, and so I just came to visit them one time. That's all it took, was one time to visit. I was like, I'm moving to Atlanta, right? My brother will tell you, it's so funny. I was so wanting to come to Atlanta. I was like, okay, but I gotta have a job when I moved down there. I just can't move, even though my friends were gonna let me, stay with them initially. We talked about that, but I applied for a job at this place called Macy's. Of course, I didn't even know what Macy's. I knew it was a store, but I think it was. And my brother, and I think it was not working. I think it was working in the office part. All right. So my brother just drove me all the way. And then so while we were driving, so my brother found out where I was coming for the interview. He said, "You mean to tell me I drove you 6 hours to come down here to an interview. Amazing. But look, 35 years later, I'm still here. It worked out fine. But he always talks about that because, you know, we didn't know anything about this Atlanta traffic. We weren't ready for any of that. And so I convinced him to drive me down here. And so I haven't looked back. You know, it's been good. It's been good.
Okay, Atlanta is the place to be. That's what I hear so many people say. You know, I ended up in Atlanta, but I don't think it was because I thought it was a place. Well, I know it wasn't because I thought it was a place to be. I ended up here by way of the military.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, because my ex-husband got out of the military at Fort Benning, and my ex is from Georgia, so that's kind of how I ended up in Atlanta. I never really even thought about, you know, coming to Atlanta. That's the place to be, but we just ended up here by way of the military. But I've been here ever since, and that's been since 1995.
Wow. Yeah.
94, 95. Yeah, so I've been here a very long time too, and I like it, and I call it home now. The same as you do, and I think if I recall, the last live event when I interviewed Adrian Gray, Adrian Gray, she talked about Atlanta and the HBCU experience.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you recall that. Yeah, she wanted to come to Atlanta for that reason.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, so Atlanta is like a magnet.
She's a Spelman lady. Yes.
Yes.
It is. So once you get here, you know, like they just keep you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It just keeps you. It grows on you. You're like, okay, I'm home. Look, I'm home. Now, also, talk about after getting here, after coming to Atlanta, sort of having a change of plans in a sense, things going different in a different direction than what you planned. And you talk about.
So, you know, initially I told you, you know, I did a stint for a TV station, an internship. I was on the radio. So my mind was I was going to come to Atlanta and I was going to work for Ted Turner.
Okay, so that was the original plan.
That was my plan, but it didn't work out there. It didn't work out. I found out I could have got an internship there, but it was unpaid.
Unpaid, okay.
Unpaid.
So okay.
You know, in hindsight, I probably would have just kept a part-time job and just took it. But my mind at that time was not that mature enough to say, yeah, I'm not gonna work here for you guys. No, for free, no. So I ended up working for the government, which is where I met you. And I was like, so I actually I worked at Georgia Tech for a while. I got a job at Georgia Tech, and then I had my daughter, and when my daughter was a baby, I met someone who told me, you know, you should apply for this job with the government. And so I applied for the job, and I was like, oh, it's a grade 4. I'm a college graduate. I don't want that. That's just beneath me. But they talked about all the potentials and all the things you know, but I later found out they have actually grades 1, 2, and 3. So 4 wasn't so bad starting out, but I didn't know that, right? So so I started out and actually I have 34 years of federal service. And I started with the federal government in 1987. Wow, I can't believe it was that long ago. But and my daughter was just a baby.
Right, and I want to go back to the part in the book around, I think it's like page 85, where you talk about the change of plans and things not going the way that you planned. Not that they went bad, but it wasn't what you had initially planned, and you found yourself a single parent.
Right. So
and how did that experience or that experience in time in your life, how did you feel about that in comparison to you being raised by a single parent?
Right. So for me, you know, it was something I did, you know, and of course that wasn't the plan, but that is indeed what happened. So I was one of the things that, because of the absence of my biological father, I always made it a point and always was determined that my daughter would have a relationship with her father, whether or not we were together, whether or not I couldn't stand him, but that's not the case. I mean, he's a fine guy, but if whatever the case was, I was determined that my daughter was going to know her father. So I did, I probably, I made sure that happened. I'll just say it that way. Because life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So if I'm not together with him, she's going to have a relationship with him. She's going to know who her father is, and all of my children. That was one of the things. And there again was a leftover residual from not having a relationship with my father. So I just went ahead and made it work. My grandmother, who was, the love of my life, outside of my love, my mom, of course, but my grandmother was my second love. And I didn't want to disappoint her. Right.
Yeah.
And I felt like I disappointed her. And I remember her telling me, it's not that you had a baby and you weren't married. It's just, I was just expecting so much. I'm just so hurt. And man, that was like a dagger. And so I had to, I think I've done pretty good at this point, but I was, so I've always been that go-getter and been that one, for her to tell me that, I felt really bad that I had disappointed her and wanted to make sure that going forward, that, I get it right, in the future. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah. And I was going to ask you about your grandma, and you've already talked about her. I was going to ask you about what you wrote in the book, your grandma having, wanting the best for you.
Right.
Yeah, wanting the best for you. And how I was going to ask you, how did you feel, when you found yourself a single parent, and you already kind of touched on that as well. Yeah. So, and that's understandable. So now, do you have brothers and sisters?
I have two brothers. I am the only girl and the baby, as everybody says. I can tell.
Oh, okay.
I'm the only girl and the baby, right? So I got two brothers, wonderful brothers, Greg and Gerald. And they still live in Tennessee. They still live in Jackson, Tennessee. And my mom's in Jackson, Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know in the book you talk about being like the chosen one.
I mean,
tell us about that, because I want you to talk about or explain to the viewers, and for me, how that all ties in to I don't want to say the expectations of your grandma, but her wanting the best for you.
Right.
And then you talking about being the chosen one in your family. Because
when I say the chosen one, I guess what I'm saying is that, the expectation is for you to succeed. The expectation is for you to do what you've been doing. And and that's kind of what I mean for my grandmother. She was like, well, I didn't expect that for you. When people tell you out of all people, then you just feel really bad, right? You feel like you have just let down the whole world. And so when you've gone to college, you've done all these things, you've excelled, you've had, you've been doing well. And so how did you get into this situation? Because you weren't supposed to do that. That's what that wasn't supposed to happen to you. How did that happen to you? And because you were chosen for more. I know you're supposed to be better, and I know you're supposed to be great. You're chosen for that. You've already kind of shown us what you can do. And then how did you get in this situation, type of thing?
Right.
So
Okay.
So when and then you feel like, oh my God, I wasn't chosen for anything. Maybe I wasn't. You start doing all that self-doubt and all like that. But but God, of course, knows that you are chosen, and he knows all these pitfalls and things bumps in the road you're gonna get to along the way to get to where you need to be to get us here to where we are today, right? But it didn't feel like that at the time. Didn't feel like
I imagine not. And the reason I asked you about, the chosen part is because, I've heard that many times from many different people. And I think in every family, not that any one member is different or more or anything like that, but it seems that there are one or two in the family that the expectation is higher for
Right.
that one or two individuals. You know, it's sort of like assigning them to be the forerunner for the family or the
Right.
trailblazer for the family.
Right.
So when you find yourself not meeting that mark, you tend to feel like you let the family down, the entire
Correct.
family,
Yeah.
not only yourself. I think you really hold your family in a higher regard than you do
Then you do
yourself.
yourself, right?
Yeah, you're not even thinking about you let
Right. That's
you
true.
let yourself down. You're thinking,
Yeah.
well, I let my family down because they were really counting on me and rooting for me, you know, and cheering me on.
Yes.
And here I am, you know, I've made these decisions that are counter to what the hope is, you know.
Right.
And I try not to use the word expectation per se, but rather the hope, you know,
Right.
in that particular family member, you know.
Right.
So that's why I wanted to ask you about that. And if you would, you know, you touched on being chosen and God's purpose and
Right.
being chosen for God's purpose. Do you want to go into that a little more?
Sure. Sure. So I think we're all chosen for
Mhm.
specific things that happen in our lives. And so because God is a God of free will, you know, sometimes we'll do what we're supposed to do and we'll follow the path that we're supposed to follow. And sometimes we won't. But God, I believe, chooses us to do and be and have fulfill certain roles. And for me, I think I know I was chosen to be the daughter of my mother. I was chosen to be the parent to my children. I was chosen to be my husband's wife. Whether I knew it or not, I was
Right.
chosen to do that. And I know it. I know it because of a lot. I've gotten confirmation on it, not only from my family, but from other people. You know,
Hmm.
other people on the outside. You know, who says, man, nobody could probably parent that child like you. You know, and people say that, man, I can't. You know, how do you do whatever? But I think we're chosen, and when you're walking in, as far as chosen and in purpose, I'll call it purpose. When you're walking in purpose, you know, it makes you know it. You know it when it happens. Even the job I've had, I've had gotten jobs before. Even some of the promotions with the government that I had, the job I have with the government, and people are like, how did you get that job over somebody else? Because you were chosen. All those
Hmm.
paths led to where I am today. You're chosen. The reason I know you today is because I took certain jobs and did certain things and got to
Right.
this book, and all of that stuff I firmly believe was already predestined, predetermined, because you're walking in the purpose. You're walking, you may not be clear about what it is you want to do, but you kind of know when God's leading you a certain way. And
Right.
so I think that when uh, you wonder, how did this happen to me, or why me? It's because you were chosen. And before, like the Bible says, before the foundations of the world, you were chosen. God knows you, and He had you chosen for a certain reason, for a certain purpose. I think I still have a lot of other purposes to fulfill. And I'm learning more and more about them. COVID has let me, like the book, for example, like this other book I just talked about. Again, being a parent, being a parent,
Hmm.
and I'm sure we'll get into talking about my son, but just being his parent, being my daughter's parent, being the grandparent that I am for my child. Everything was lined up and aligned long before I even thought about doing, meeting their father, meeting any of that. So,
Right. Right.
yeah, purpose. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. And I agree. I agree. I totally agree. We all have a purpose. We're not here just to exist. We're
Right.
here for a reason. We have a purpose, and the hope and goal is that we walk our purpose out throughout life. Some refer to it as an assignment. We have an
Yeah.
assignment in
Mm-hmm.
our lifetime here, on earth. And I encourage people to seek out, their purpose,
Right.
seek God to get clarity on what their purpose is and
Mm-hmm.
understanding about their purpose. And then once they uh, discover it, to
Mm-hmm.
embrace it and walk it out. And as you said, the Bible says, God says in the word that he foreknew, you know, so everything that we're doing now was already predestined. We're just walking it out. We're walking it out. That's what we're doing.
We're walking it out. I like that. We're walking it out.
We're walking,
I believe, we're walking it out.
Yeah, we're walking it out. And, when you sit and you think, I think back to when I was a little girl, a lot of the things that I did when I was a little girl, or I just think back to that time, I never thought about writing a book, when I was a little girl.
Right?
That didn't even cross my mind, writing a book or working where I work for as long as I've worked, all the things that I've done up until this point. When I was a young girl, I didn't even think about those things. I really didn't. I didn't, but I've walked those things out from that point up until now. And I believe, as you said, and it's confirmed, in the word, that those things are predestined. And purpose is passion. When you discover your purpose, it really is something that you are driven to do, and something that you are passionate about doing. And for anyone who may think that they are just here to exist, that is not the case. You have a purpose. You have a purpose. And I know you mentioned that you were chosen to be the mother to your children. So that brings me to I know a very difficult topic, but you've agreed to talk about it here today. Yeah, and I want to thank you for agreeing to talk about your son. You have two children, Patrice and your son, DeMarcus. And, yeah, DeMarcus. And you lost your son last year, unfortunately, to a tragic car accident. And I know that I remember when I learned about it. I think I was in Jacksonville at a training session when I received the text. And I remember just thinking how my heart just dropped for you, getting the news. So I can't even imagine, I can't nowhere near imagine, what you felt at that time. But I felt sad and compassion for you, when I got the news. So since your son's passing, I know that you talk about in the book getting a lot of revelation, even more revelation and more understanding about why you're chosen and your purpose. So tell us about that. Go ahead and talk about that for me, and about your son. Tell us about your son, who DeMarcus was, and the conversations you had with him, his pursuit to know God, the year leading up to, his passing, and the last one of the last conversations you had, and the recording. Just tell us about all of that, if you can give us a summary, as best you can.
Whatever. I'll try to get through it.
Okay.
So DeMarcus was great. Everybody that met my son, had a lasting impression. I mean, we went on cruises. There are people when my son passed, as far as away from Africa, that called, and in the different time, it would be like 2 or 3 in the morning, and they would be calling here, to just speak with me and give me their concerns. DeMarcus was a very charismatic person. My daughter talks about they're like night and day, because he was like very charismatic. He loved hard, he loved his family, he loved his friends. And so he was, and his school, everywhere he went, he was memorable. I will tell you that he was memorable, even, when he was a little boy. And I brought him up to chief counsel office when he was a little boy, and he saw my manager at the time, who was kind of round, and he asked him, he said, "Are you Santa? Because you're kind of like, and my boss never forgot that." But no, DeMarcus was great, and he was very talented. And And the Lord let him do so many things in 27 years, right? He was just here 27 years, but he went out of the country a couple of times. He like I said, he built so many relationships. He would have friends from every walk of life. He could go down to the roughest parts of Atlanta, and he could go to, the classiest parts in Atlanta. And he would be accepted, and people just loved him. He just had that personality. And when I think back on a lot of the conversations that I have, and a lot of, we went together on trips, we were very, very close, very, very close. So I know that, and he had his own challenges, growing up like a lot of young Black men do. And I just, and he would tell me, because of our relationship, I got to try to breathe and keep from breaking down. But we had a special relationship, and he would tell me, that he know I was chosen to be his mother, because, and that I was that one refuge that he had, sometimes he shared too much with me, I'd be like, I don't know if I want to hear all that, because he would tell me everything, a lot of stuff. So I'd be like, I don't know if I want to hear all that. But when you talk about his last year or so leading up to his death, his family and his friends started to see the change in him. He began to do a spiritual journey, right? And he wanted to learn more, because he was saying, not that he didn't get a good foundation, because he was raised in the church, but he knew it was more. It was more than just going to church and hearing scriptures and doing all that. So he wanted to read and learn for himself. And so that's what he began to do. And he began to study other religions. And then he began to, do the background. And he would come home, and he'd be like, okay, Mom, okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk. Did you know this? And he'd be asking stuff that I was embarrassed, because I myself didn't know. I grew up in the church like everybody else. I know certain scriptures. I know, stories in the Bible, but behind the scenes and the lost books of the Bible and all the other different things, I did not know. And I felt embarrassed, because he knew a lot more than what I did. And so I would get aggravated sometimes, to be honest with you, because, he'd always, he worked at UPS, he'd go to work and he'd come back and he'd want to talk about it. No, Mom, turn the TV, I want to talk about it. And he would tell me, well, you and Daddy not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to be eating that pork. And you're not supposed to be, the Sabbath is, why are you doing anything? Or I don't care. Why are you going to the store? You shouldn't be going to a rest. I mean, like, he would just get honest and honest and honest. But outside of that, he also would want us to read and learn. And so one day, we were getting ready to have one of these conversations. So I'm like, okay, here you go. So something in my spirit, the Lord in my spirit just say, okay, why don't you record this conversation, right? Because I knew it was going to be one of those conversations. So I took out my phone, and I just and he started. It's about an 18-minute monologue. I say monologue because I only say one or two words, so it's really not a dialogue, it's a monologue. And so he talks about, it's a very prophetic word, and it's amazing because it fits so in with what's going on right now, and just the words that he says. And so I was able to record that. I have worked with a couple of wonderful people who have helped me, and thank you. I met them through you, as a matter of fact. And so they're still working. And so we're gonna actually publish this 18-minute monologue, which it's amazing. And because that is, again, a purpose that I didn't know, but God knew, right? God knew, and that's why he had me pull out that phone that day, and that's why he had him give this speech, because the words are so profound. They live prophetically today. They are a not, I won't say a warning, but they are a word for everybody that's here, for his family and his friends, and for the world to think about, and and tell us not to get caught up so much in what's going on, what appears to be going on in front of us, but to look deeper, right, into what it is we're supposed to be doing and what our final goal is. All of us want to go to heaven, right? All of us want to make it there. All of us want to be pleasing to God. So what are you doing that, that's distracting you and keeping you from finding that and following that purpose? And so within, my son's birthday actually is October 8th. And it's my hope that the DVD will be available by then. And all proceeds will go to support a deserving person that's in need. he was in a couple of he was extra in a couple of movies. He actually wrote music, he wrote plays, he wrote, you know, he was a camera person. He helped film some things around here in Atlanta. So he was very, you know, talented in that area. And I remember when he went to school, you know, I had to pay out of pocket. And I know that there are a lot of other young people, you know, that don't want to go the college route, that have dreams. And because
Right.
he's a dreamer, he was a dreamer. Yeah. So I want to be able to, so my goal in life, another purpose that God gave me out of this, because I talk about, I could stay in the pain with my son's law, you know, stay in the pain, but I know it had to be something bigger than that, right? It had to be a reason that, you know, for everything, for me having him as a son, for him having all these ideas, for him having all these talents and leaving all this stuff behind, had to be something bigger than just me being his mama, right? So that's what I've learned to embrace and look at and find out, what is the purpose? What did God want me to do with this grief and all of this? You know, you got to find purpose in the pain, and that, you know, there's pain, you know, but there's always some kind of purpose behind it. And so that has been my big takeaway. And that's how God has comforted me, is to have me to find the purpose in the pain. One of the purposes was writing the book. The other one is to start a foundation in my son's name and to keep moving forward some of those ideas and principles that, you know, God had revealed to him at age 27. I can't, you know, I just, a lot of things that he would say, like I said, me, you know, at 50 plus, did not know and felt embarrassed about, because he knew, he found revelation, he did the study, he did the work. And so I think one of the purposes that I'm left here to do, rather than just mourn him, is to continue on what he was trying to do and make sure people, you know, keep his message going forward. So that's what I plan to do.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I imagine, you know, that it was somewhat difficult. So we really and truly appreciate you sharing that with us. Yeah. And I know you touched on it as well, that one of the things you wrote about in the book was discovering godly purpose through the pain of losing your son. And you just touched on that and said that you know, you would be starting a foundation and a scholarship fund and things of that nature. And I think that's really significant. As a matter of fact, for those of you who are viewing the Visionary Foundation, we will also be offering a scholarship in Beverly's son's name in honor of her son, you know, and his legacy. Yes, that's one of the things that we'll be doing. And as she said, there are young adults who may not desire to go to a four-year institution right out of high school or wherever, and they may have been out of high school for several years, but still have a vision, you know, beyond where they are at the present time. So one of the things that the Visionary Foundation will be doing is funding the vision of those individuals who don't want to attend a traditional four-year university to pursue a four-year degree, but they may just want a certification in HR, a certification in music production, things of that nature. You know, one donation, one scholarship, or whatever it is, can really change an individual's life. You know, and that's the thought that we have, and that is the type of philanthropy work that we do through the Visionary Foundation. So if you haven't purchased your book, please go to Amazon.com and purchase a copy of the book today, because the proceeds from the sales will go to good use, will be given back to the community.
And Debra, Dr. Debra, I just want to say real quick that I so appreciate you and the ladies, because you guys were the first people to reach out to say, look, we want to do something to help remember your son. And that was so big for me. And I mean, that makes me want to cry now. That was so big. And I really appreciate it. And it came at a time when we were talking about doing the book. And so the book, and writing the book, I thought you were insane because you said, we're going to write this book in 90 days. I was like, this lady is crazy. We're not writing a book in 90 days. I can't write a book, but God knew better. And you did too, apparently. But I can't believe, we did that. But that was part of my healing process. And that helped me a lot. And again, the fact that you ladies, got together and thought enough of me and my son to say, hey, we're going to be one of the first people to, to help fund, something in your son's name. So I'm grateful for that. I'm so appreciative of that. And thank you to the Visionary Foundation and all the members, and, to you personally for seeing the vision and listening to God, actually, right? Following your purpose, because that was your purpose, getting all us crazy ladies together to do this book. So I just want to publicly thank you. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. And that's what vision and purpose is all about. And that's what love is all about. Mm-hmm. So yes, we wouldn't have it any other way, of course. And I know the other ladies who are viewing in, Miss Sharon Gibson, Sarah Reed, and Adrian Gray, we all feel the same. We all feel the same. So we appreciate you, and we thank you for sharing your story, in the book, on the live, and just, even in our private group sessions. That's what we do. That's what we do. So again, for those of you who are viewing, I'm Dr. Debra Wright Owens, and I'm interviewing Miss Beverly Vann-Woods, who, along with myself, is an author to the recently published book titled Life, Vision, and Purpose. And what we're doing is actually a virtual book tour. Because of the pandemic, COVID-19 and Corona, we could not physically take the book tour on the road. So what better way to do this than social media? So that's what we're doing. So we appreciate all of you for tuning in, and we'll continue this book tour after today as well. But we're going to move right along with Miss Beverly's interview right now. So Miss Beverly, vision and purpose. You talk about vision and purpose being tied together.
Right.
Right. So give us a little insight on that statement that you wrote in the book, as well as how your vision for your own life ties into your purpose.
Right. So, I mean, the thing about it is we're born, we have families. So we always think about there's got to be something else. And we always have a vision. And, we should have a vision. I'll say that. I don't know if we always do, but we should have a vision. And for me, one day I just remember I have this one vision, which is crazy to some people, but hey, I'm going to put it out there. I saw myself on a stage, lots of people everywhere, and I'm giving a talk. I don't know what the subject is about. I don't know. I think one of my, and so I have that vision. So I think one of my purposes is to find out what that subject matter is, to present it on TED Talks, because I saw this thing called TED Talks, and I read about it, and I looked and I said, okay, these people get 10, 15 minutes to give their spiel, to a group of people. And as I've gone on, and again, I talk about my son, I think one of my purposes is to help other parents. And I'll say mothers, but it could be more than mothers. But I think, this club that I'm in, losing a child, is not, it's a club. It's a club nobody wants to join. And, you don't ask to join something, you're just thrown into it. And it doesn't matter if your child was 2, 3, 20, 30, 40, whatever. But and finding a way to navigate that's one of the things I want to do, is help other mothers. I think that's part of my purpose. And I'm thinking, hey, that's probably my vision too, right? Maybe that's what I'm going to talk about on TED Talk, is to help parents not to get through, because, you never get through it. People ask me, you're so strong, you do whatever. But for me, every day is like Groundhog Day. I don't know if everybody saw that movie, Groundhog Day. So I wake up thinking about my son. I go to bed thinking about my son, thinking about my son all during the day. So it's a daily, it doesn't go away. And people say, oh, over time. I don't think that ever changes, especially if you're a parent. And I dare say, and I'm no slight to the dads, but mother is the one who carried the baby, right? And so you do have connection. And so, and what I want to do is to help mothers, because we can't bring our loved ones back. But the greatest thing that we can do, the greatest tribute I think we can make to them, is to find out what that purpose was, and for us to be able to keep going forward with it. And so that helped me get through the pain. Again, with the video with my son, is to spread his message, spread his word, to keep helping other young people who were trying to do the same things like he was trying to do, which will have a career in entertainment. So I think if we focus on that, and then we continue to push forward the dreams of our children, you know, we honor them with our grief. And so I want to be able to help other moms and other parents be able to do that, and find a way in which they can do that and support them in doing that.
Okay.
And how do I do that? And whether that is through seminars, or whether that is through TED Talks, or whatever that form is, that is a vision that I do have. And I think that is tied to, again, my purpose, or one of my purposes, because I think you have more than one purpose in life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I agree. And I think the vision of the TED Talk, I know you said it sounds crazy, but it doesn't sound crazy at all. It does not sound crazy at all, because you think about all the people who have already done TED Talks. I'm sure at some point they had a vision of doing a TED Talk too, and their vision became reality. You know, they put a process or a system or plans in place to make it happen. So I'm sure, I know the same will happen for you. So those of you who are viewing, be on the lookout for Miss Beverly Vann-Woods TED Talk. You heard it right here on Facebook Live first. Right. Yeah, but all of those are, you know, your vision and your purpose that you talked about, your plans, all of those just sound exciting, you know, and I know you, so I know that you're going to walk things out. I know that you're going to walk these things out. And also I wanted to mention, aside from, you know, the plans that you just mentioned yourself, you're also an entrepreneur. So tell us about the entrepreneur vision and purpose.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for asking about that. Thank you for asking about
the mediation and arbitration services, how that ties in to your God-given purpose.
Right. So, you know, I work for I'll just say the IRS. I'll just go ahead and put the name out there in different capacities over the years. You know, I started in tax examiner. I've been a paralegal. I've done some different things with them. But one of the most rewarding things that I have done is to be part of the mediation process. And that is to be a mediator, to mediate cases where employees have, you know, issues, you know, employer versus employee issues. A lot of that sometimes is connected to the EEO arena, but I do find fulfillment in that. And so I've been with the government, again, I say 34 years. So it's coming up on time, you know, within the next year, or less, that I plan to retire and to pursue doing mediation and arbitration full time. Also offering courses, being able to provide courses and classes regarding EEO, labor negotiations, mediations, for someone who wants to become a mediator or think they want to become a mediator. I, you know, will offer some courses geared so that they can help fulfill that dream, and tell them how I was able to become, you know, a mediator. And it is so fulfilling. That's what I like about it. It is so fulfilling when people don't reach an agreement. The fact I found out, you know, in mediation, that people just want to be heard, right? I don't care, you know, and sometimes people ask, give me $1 million. They really don't want $1 million. They just want to be heard, right? They just think that, you know, everybody has that feeling. And so I'm starting Woods Mediation Services, Woods Mediation and Employee Relations Services. So because there's more than just mediations, I do have do presentations on preventing sexual harassment, getting along in the workplace, a lot of things that you can do on the forefront to prevent someone from having to file a complaint or file an EEO, and then you have to get to mediation. I also recently completed arbitration training. And so I am an arbitrator now. Haven't really arbitrated any cases as of yet, but looking forward to doing that as well. And so that is my plans with Woods Mediation and Employee Relations Services. Look us up, www.resolve4u.com. And I can't wait to get started on that, as well as the foundation, and helping, and another group that I'm with as far as mentor Dima's Daughters of Destiny. So that's another group where we're going to mentor young women. So retirement will not find me I will just be retiring from the federal government soon, but I have a lot on my plate, and I feel like I have a lot to do.
Yeah. And that's good. That's good. That is good, you know, and that speaks to purpose, because when you know or have an idea of what your purpose is and you have a vision, you may retire from a job that you worked on for 20, 30 years or whatever, but it's purpose that keeps you going.
Right.
You know, it's purpose that keeps you going, purpose and vision that keeps you going. Like you said, you are retiring from the federal government, but your purpose continues. Your purpose don't generally retire. You know, because that's why you're here.
That's good. Purpose doesn't retire. It doesn't.
Purpose doesn't retire.
And it makes room for, you know, and your gift, because when I talk about mediations, and I'll just, you know, I won't brag, but I will say that I do pretty good when I'm a mediator. But the reason is it's not so much as me. I think it's a gift, and I think it's gift making room for you. And I think that's what happens when it's something that you, and I just would ask everybody out there that if you don't know, if you're doing something that you're just doing it to get a check, and we all have to do that, trust me, I've been doing it for 30 plus years. But when you find that thing that you can do and still get paid for it, and that you like to do, I mean, pursue that. It is never too late. It is never too late to do that. And think about, you know, why am I here? Because it's always something deeper. It's look deeper. And I think COVID probably gave a lot of us an opportunity to look a little deeper, to find out what it is that we're supposed to be doing. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I agree. COVID did give us a lot of people, you know, that aha moment, the bell goes off, like, okay, let me assess and evaluate and really meditate on what it is I am supposed to be doing.
Right.
Why I'm here. Yeah. So, okay. So how can we find you on social media? How can we get in contact with Woods Mediation and Employee Relations Services?
So the webpage is up. I mean, it's still under construction, but it's up, and it's at www.resolve4u.com, resolve4u.com, and it's Woods Mediation and Employee Relations Services. You can also find me on Instagram under my name, and under Woods Mediation, and under From Mom's Purpose to Pain. You can find me on Facebook under my name, Beverly Vann-Woods. You Google my name, I'm gonna come up in all kinds of places. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Beverly Vann-Woods on LinkedIn, Vann-Woods. So I'm all over the place. I think actually, I don't know if I have Twitter. If I have Twitter, I don't really tweet, but I might have it. I think I have an account, right? And so a lot, like I said, Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn are my primary sources where you can find me.
Okay, thank you. So going forward, future plans. I know you already touched on it, you know, philanthropy work, things of that nature, you know, the foundations that you're active members in. So just give us a snapshot. What should we expect from Beverly Vann-Woods in the near future?
So in the near future, I plan on publishing my son's DVD and getting the foundation up and going. The main thing is the DVD. The hope is to get it out again by his birthday, and again proceeds to go and benefit, and more so than just the proceeds, because that I will be giving away copies of it as well, because the message is so profound. So that's one of my things that I know I got to get his message out. You know, I feel like I have to get his message out. So that's one of the first things that I plan on doing. Getting in line with doing the mediations, doing all of that. and continuing to pour into people, because I think I have a gift for that as well. And I know I have a passion for it anyway, to make sure that I can pour into somebody, whether it's another young woman, and I just say women because I'm a woman. And you know, if a young guy, I support Black businesses. I try to make it a habit at least once a month, if not more so, to seek out a Black business. So I think, you know, and I challenge everybody watching to do the same. So find you a Black business and support it, because we need it more. You know, we need it.
Right.
It's needed. And so that is what I plan on doing. You know, I'm a member of my HOA, a vice president of that. So I just got so many things going on. But I think as far as my purpose, I think my purpose again is to get my son's message out, to continue to mentor young women, and just, you know, make a difference and leave a footprint here. You know, make sure that my purpose is fulfilled while I'm here, because I think that's the best thing. That's the best way to honor your family, yourself, and God, is to do that. Right. So that's what I hope to do.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. That's the best way to honor yourself, your family, and God. That's awesome. I really like that. I might have to use that, Beverly.
Go right ahead.
I might have to use that. Well, okay, that brings us to the end of your interview. But I just want to take this opportunity to thank you.
Do we have any questions? I forgot to look. I forgot to say.
No, I haven't seen any. Just comments.
Okay, good. Okay, I forgot that part.
Yeah. But I want to take this opportunity to just thank you for sharing with the audience today. Just, you know, snapshot into your life. And for those of you who are viewing, you know, some of you may have viewed the previous live events as well. All of the discussion revolves around the topics that we've written about in our book, Life, Vision, and Purpose. Life, Vision, and Purpose. And I think all of you who are viewing can identify with these topics, because we all have life, and we have a vision, or we should, and we all have a purpose, without a shadow of a doubt. So that's what these discussions are about. And as I said, this is a virtual book tour where we are featuring the authors. I'm interviewing the authors of the book, and the authors are myself, Dr. Debra Wright Owens. We have Miss Beverly Vann-Woods, Sarah Reed, Adrian Gray, and Sharon Gibson. So today, Miss Beverly is the third author to be interviewed. And next up will be Sharon Gibson. So for those of you who are viewing and have been following us, stay tuned. We'll be announcing the date and time of Miss Sharon Gibson's interview as well. And we look forward to interviewing her. And then last but not least, Miss Sarah Reed will be interviewing me in October. I don't remember the exact date yet, but as I said, continue to follow us. You can follow us on the Life, Vision, Purpose Facebook page as well. We have a Facebook page. You can go and like the page and follow us to keep up with what we're doing, where we are, what we're saying, things of that nature, and the events that we may be hosting. The Visionaire Foundation also has a Facebook page. If you'd be so kind to go and like the Visionaire Foundation Facebook page, we would appreciate that as well. And as I said before, if you have not purchased a copy of our book, you can do so today. It is not too late. Head on Amazon.com and search the book by its title, Life, Vision, Purpose, or you can search the book by either of the author's name and pull it up and just make your purchase today. All proceeds from book sales go towards scholarships and grants for the underserved population in our local and surrounding communities, because we want to give back to those who are less fortunate, those who have vision, and those who have purpose, you know, and just need a hand up, so they too can pursue vision and purpose. So we appreciate you all tuning in today. Stay tuned. We have more to come. We thank you. We hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday as well as the rest of your weekend. Take care. And this concludes today's interview. Thank you again, Miss Beverly. Thank you
You're
so
welcome,
much
most welcome.
for
Thank
allowing
you.
us to look into your world. Thank you. Thank you, audience.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.